So get ready. I'm going to introduce to you today one of the most fabulous people that I've privileged to know in my life, Garett. He owns a business, a company called IDC Woodcraft. He has an amazing YouTube channel, and there's something about this story that you need to hear. It's not just about spirituality or a triumphant business story. It's really a life story that's ongoing that you need to hear about. It's what I teach, it's what he teaches every day, and along with what we're doing comes prosperity, a balance in your life you probably couldn't even imagine that you could live out, and of course a lot of challenges along the way. Garett and I have known each other for many years through joining a program to learn how to create online businesses. So without hesitation, let's start our podcast with Garett. Welcome to Landria, Onkka on YouTube. Today I interview Garett, a dear friend of mine and a millionaire. Yep, a millionaire who has a really amazing story that's going to inspire you maybe to do something fabulous in your life also. So before we begin, I want to remind you to please subscribe. You're going to spend some time with me today, and down in the description I'm going to have all the information that you need if you're interested in visiting his channel, getting involved in what he teaches, and also my online training, digitalexplorers.net, which we're going to talk about because you need to live a life of passion, purpose, positive impact, and from that, prosperity comes. Let's get started.
There we go. You got me?
I am so excited to do this.
Yeah. Let's get this moved over to the right screen.
The timing was right, and I always talk about you, and I thought I've got to get you on an interview because your story is amazing, and we have to catch up also.
I know, I know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're aware, I launched a business called Digital Explorers.
Yeah, you sent me the link to that.
That's why I wanted to talk to you because, you are a shining example of what I teach that works, and
Mm-hmm.
you're living it, and after all we've been through with our training and the things that we've done and learned, which has been so valuable,
Yeah.
and some of it painful, but we have learned where we need to be and what does work. And I really wanted to spend time and just go through that and share it with you. You can post it anywhere. It's going to go on all my channels because I think this is relevant for my main channel also. And that's like, we're always separating business and spirituality, and they just really, that's couldn't be further from the truth. It's one thing, and if you're not living it in every area, right?
Exactly.
Every area of
Exactly.
your life, it doesn't work. It's in conflict. And so I would just love to find out what you're doing and where you are, where you want to go, how I can help you also. And I would like us to start collaborating more with
Yeah.
with our businesses. And this is obviously going to be sent out to people who may be very interested in watching your channel and maybe doing some of the woodworking and things that you're teaching. That's so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing for me is I want to showcase people who are going to introduce new amazing ways for them to find that passion that
Yeah.
they didn't even know existed. I mean, this was something like I was like, "You're doing what?"
Yeah. What?
Yeah, what? I'm like, "Okay, did you just learn this? Like, where did this come from?" So, but right now, I would like to just open it up to you and just have you share your journey to where you are. And then I want you to explain where you are because it's pretty damn impressive.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So everyone, welcome to my channel, wherever you're seeing this, whether it's by Digital Explorers or my spiritual channel. I'm with one of my dear friends, Garett, and And I am absolutely so excited to interview him. We've known each other for many years
Mhm.
and gone through really the online business journey that so many people have, seeking something and finding out what it's really about, and then finding out what's really important, and then having that work. And unfortunately, Garrett, as you know, we are a small percentage out there that knows that formula because people want to shortcut it. They think
Mhm.
there's another way. And it's usually I'm going to go get money. That will make me happy so I can start living my life, whether it's a spiritual life or whatever. Our audiences are highly just, let's say, planet conscious spiritual people.
Yeah.
They care. So I would love for you to just, however way you want to share your story, your journey to where you got now, like back when you started, well, actually before that. Let
Okay.
you do your thing.
Okay. Well, to set the stage at this point, I have a multi-million dollar business, and I'm 62 years old at the moment. And so with that, I started off, well, we'll go back to the whole spiritual awakening part that led me into there's a purpose inside and I've got to do something with it, right? And that was after I lost my wife, my best friend, my mom, all in a course of about a year and a half. And that really woke me up to what am I doing in my life?
Yeah.
And so there was this 7 year journey of of wait a minute, have I done the things I wanted to do? And so I just said, nope, there was that sudden wake up call that someday I'll be on a deathbed. Am I going to regret something? And at that moment, I said, there are not going to be any regrets. Absolute. I swore to myself I would not have a regret on my deathbed. And so I spent 7 years being selfish, giving to me that I never did for the first 50. And then from there, once all that was out of my system, ran into a point of I've done everything that
Mhm.
I wanted to do for me. What's important now? And I couldn't find it. I couldn't find that thing. And what that did was it started to send me on a search of searching for what that was. And it led me into then this is about the point I met you when we were both on this journey of learning about online business. You were already into it. We
Yeah.
made friends and you actually guided me along the way on this. And and then Landria, I got to a point, I don't know if you know this. When I was on this discovery, I couldn't find that thing that was my purpose. And I got to a point, I was very, a really dark place, really dark place. And it was a Friday night. It was in the spring of 2018, I think. And it was a nice day. I remember that. Nice evening. And I pulled my pistol out of my closet
Oh,
and I loaded it and I put it against my head.
yeah.
And at that moment, I knew I had a decision, right? But it wasn't, it was like, why am I even here? But I just didn't really care. I
Yeah.
couldn't find that thing for me. And the only thought that came to me was, I've got a daughter. What legacy am I going to leave for her? And then I just realized she would have all these unanswered questions about why dad took his life. And I said that I don't care about me, but I care enough about her. I put that down. I said, I will never be in this place again. And it was that moment I made that promise myself. And so from there, it was like just a mission. I will not be in this place again. So I spent the up until now always staying away from that place. And the only way, as you know, the only way we can stay away from that place is by continuing to grow
Yeah.
spiritually and continuing, yep,
Get
and
on me. Yeah.
yeah, and continuing to seek out the purpose, even if we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Now, I hope you don't mind if I share this little
You can
story.
share anything. This is,
Yeah.
I'm totally transparent.
Yeah. After that moment with the pistol, um, I realized as an engineer at that time, I was working for 9 to 5 and um, I said, this isn't me anymore, but I don't know who me is. And so I decided to burn the ship. I quit the job, packed up the house that I had, Put
I
every,
I remember the pictures you sent me. I
yep.
said, are you sure you should be doing this?"
Literally, I gave
Yeah,
up everything. I had no
yeah,
place to live other than in my car, took my trailer to my brother's out in Pennsylvania, and I just toured the country. But when I was getting ready to take this little tour of the country, it's like I had already traveled, as you know. I did a bunch of traveling in that 10 years of not having any regrets. And so I wanted to go back out west again, but I didn't know where to go because I'd already been everywhere.
right.
And so I was sitting at my desk the last week of work where once I quit that job, I was never going back to a 9 to 5 again, ever, ever. That was I became psychologically unemployable.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I had this idea that popped in my head as I'm staring at my computer at work of a cactus, like you see on Roadrunner, the little,
Oh, I know the cactus story.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, tell the cactus story.
Yeah,
That
the cactus story is so relevant, I think, to everybody if they get this. Right. So it's this silly little cartoon image that popped in my head out of nowhere. And I'm going, that's the stupidest thought on the planet. What the heck is going on in my brain? And I
Yeah,
just like, oh, get out of here. And I just went on doing what I was doing at work. Well, the next week when I was done with work and packing up my house and still didn't know where I was going to go westward. But just going to spend time doing whatever I wanted, however long I wanted to do it. And as I'm taking a break during packing, I'm sitting at my kitchen table and thinking, where am I going to go out west? Then that cactus came to mind again. And it was like someone took a megaphone to me. They said, go to Arizona to see a cactus.
but then it showed up physically in other things. You were sending me pictures going, this is showing up. What was it like? Some little like was on a mug or something like, or it was in just it kept showing up, and I said, okay, this is freaky. Somebody's talking to you, but
It was cactus everywhere. So I
we know
couldn't
who
even
it's
remember what I
connected.
said.
It was connected to somebody.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it was connected to a lot of things. So this vision could not have come to me if I wasn't willing to jump off the diving board
Yeah,
when I couldn't see water in the swimming pool,
yeah,
when there was no water in the swimming pool. And as from where I could see my future at that point,
yeah,
there was no water in the swimming pool, and I was taking the jump off the diving board.
yeah,
Um, and I didn't know that water was going to be filling up in the swimming pool on the way down.
yeah.
Um, so this whole journey to go drive to see a cactus took
Yeah.
5 months. And all I did was I trusted myself. And every day I had no plan. Just every day I said, where am I going today? And it came to me. And so I went all these different places. It was such a heart journey because every place held some kind of relevance to something I was holding on to in my past that I had to forgive. I cried a lot. And
Yeah.
every day I wanted to run back to if I wish I could give everybody the feeling I had, but finally I got to this cactus 5 months later, Saguaro National Park in Arizona. It's the same kind of cactus.
Mhm.
And I'm standing out in the middle of this field of thousands and thousands of these beautiful, majestic 300-year-old cactus.
Yeah.
And it hit me at that moment was just follow the vision and you will be rewarded thousands and thousands of times over.
Yeah.
So the deal was, I didn't know what the vision was, but I was on the journey to discover what my vision, and that was the universe saying, just, this was the awakening. You got the idea in your head of something simple, and if you follow through with it and don't give up, despite how scared you are,
Yeah.
that your reward is going to be insanely beyond what you would ever imagine.
Yeah.
And that was the whole moral of this, what the universe sent me to the cactus to learn was don't give up on this journey of discovering your purpose. At that point, I didn't know what my purpose was yet,
Exactly.
right? But that was the sign to never give up. Don't ever go back to that job. You don't belong at work anymore. You will discover it. And it took another year, but I finally found it.
Yeah. And the thing too is one thing I remember when we went through, and by the way, I wish I had it here. Maybe I'll dig it out. I found a thank you note you sent me. you sent a wooden feather that you had,
Yes.
which is weird because that was my sign.
Uh-huh.
And I kept finding, I don't even see them ever. And I would find a feather, constantly finding feathers. I actually have a little jar of them and I'd pick them up. And you didn't know that. And you sent me a little plaque with a beautiful, and I'll show it here. I'll show it on B-roll.
Okay.
And also there was a thank you in there, like really being a part of that journey and believing in you and trusting, you know, uh, everything that was happening and unfolding. And it was like I was like, wow, I just found this. That was one of the reasons I said I've got to get you on here. Um, but you went through the transition of really, you had the vision of the things. I remember the cabin and the vehicle, and the vision boards. And we do a lot of this, of course, in our manifestation and that. And it came down to something so much greater than that. And when you stopped looking at the actual money, because I can remember at one point it was about the money. It was about the money because it's like, okay, if I have the money, I can achieve these things in my life that are beautiful, that even though you're a very spiritual person, we still start with that because we think that if we don't have that, we can't get to that other place. And you had that epiphany and you went into like an awakened state. I can remember went into this peaceful state and totally let go of that. And then all of a sudden you went from the affiliate marketing, which, I've done very well in, but same thing, changed my direction completely. We're thankful for that, right? That was amazing. What we've learned and what we did there was fabulous. But there comes a point when you realize that's not who and what I am. That's not a purpose. That's
Right.
not right.
That's a
And
skill.
that's a skill. And boy, do we have them. I don't know many
Yes, yes.
people have our skills, and which is a problem out there online. And so there was a turning point when what brought you to the woodworking and what I was like, what? And I went on your channel. And by the way, I'm signed up for your email list. I went, holy crap, this is amazing. I've watched your videos. You have guest speakers. And I remember you contacted me when you had reviewed one of the products for one of the companies, and you said the CEO was not happy with you. And you said, what should I say? I said, no, like, tell him, you can collaborate with them, that your information to your audience was valuable. You're not the enemy. And you started to develop these relationships out there that were so powerful. But what brought you to what is it, IDC? Is it the woodworking? How
Yes.
did you get there?
Yeah, the name of the company is IDC Woodcraft. And
Yeah,
and so just to create that foundation, I educate people on YouTube uh how to carve on wood using what they call a CNC machine. It's a computer driven wood carving machine. It's kind of like a 3D printer, but it's got carving tools on the end of
yeah,
it. And but here I do want to say what I learned, realize that what I sell, I teach.
yeah,
We'll get back to that one.
yeah,
But what I actually deliver, not what I sell, but what I deliver is self-worth.
yeah.
I help people find self-worth. And that's huge, huge, huge.
Well,
So
but I just want you to elaborate a little bit on it. When you say self-worth, how are you doing that? I mean, it's really sort of a hobby, or for some people it is a living, but how are you doing that? You're not
well,
just showing people how to do, wood carving, right?
yeah, no, so the first was I had to go, we all have to go through that hard journey. We have to
Yeah,
go to that hard journey of looking in the mirror and pulling the smoke away and saying, I don't necessarily like the person I'm looking at in the mirror.
yeah,
And we have to pull that ego away. And then there's that really painful journey of self-discovery and realizing that I have to start changing, but I don't know how to change, and that's why we have to go out and find mentors like people like you that have been helping me for a long time,
yeah,
and and being open and receptive to what is coming to us, and realizing this is the spiritual, the real spiritual awakening for me is realizing that how do I put this? That we truly do create our environment.
Yeah.
and in our world. And the results that are in our life right now that we don't like are because of the past. And that means if we are acting like that now, we are creating our future right now.
Yep.
So if I am worried about money right now, guess what I'm going to have in the future?
Yes,
Not enough money. So,
exactly.
yeah. So going back to the question you asked, the this whole searching, what do I need? What do I want? What's my purpose? It was all about me.
Yeah.
And that was the problem.
Yeah.
When I finally said, I'm done trying to figure all this out,
Yeah.
um, is when the universe opened its doors to me.
Yeah.
Literally, I sat down and I cried and I cried and I wrote down, I let go, I'm done. I'm just finished working so hard
Yeah.
trying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from that moment, um, I wasn't even in woodworking at that point. All
Right.
right. And I just started thinking of the word wealth. It just came to my head, wealth. And it wasn't really about money. It was just wealth. The
Yeah.
wealth is abundance, right? And I got it right here. I went to Michael's craft store, and I you remember this, don't
I
you?
remember this.
Yeah, I bought these
Yeah.
letters and I mounted on the board, and I thought these are really made like very low quality. Everything's out of scale and just cheap manufacturing. And I said I can make these better than that. And so I started to research and came across the CNC routers. And then I had CNC experience. But what I realized in this is, well, I bought a machine to try to make them. Maybe I could mount a bunch of words on boards and sell them. And I realized that I had a skill already because I'd been in this type of environment
Yeah.
before. So I just started shooting YouTube videos.
You know,
And
the interesting part is when you started to do, because I remember seeing you with, remember the background with all the fake dollar bills,
oh
right?
yeah,
And I
yeah,
was like, dear God, get rid of that, you know?
yeah,
And but it was sort of like your vision board, but you were in a different frame of mind then. When you did that, you completely had shifted your frame of mind. So there was nothing wrong with the wealth or the money thoughts. It was where you were about the money that shifted everything. So
yeah,
I always hope they think that, it's wrong to think wealth or money. It's like, no, how powerful, it's how you earn it and how you spend it determines the frequency of that money,
yes, yeah,
and the quality and the value of it. So you had started with the actual wealth sign. So you bought the equipment, and
uh-huh.
what happened from there?
Well, I just started shooting. It was kind of funny. At that point, I was living with my brother in Pennsylvania. I moved into this apartment, complete bachelor pad. I mean, very scant furniture. All this. I mean, I'm so embarrassed to even talk about that. But the living room on my kitchen table was this little machine that I purchased, and my tools were on the windowsills. So the whole business started in a living room with no furniture in it. And I just started shooting videos to say, oh, I'll just shoot a video about this. I'll shoot a video about that. I didn't even know there was a market out there for this. And and as I'm trying to figure this out, now here's what started happening with all this journey with me and the guidance from you and other people that I've talked to.
Yeah.
I learned to look at the problems that people were having and pay
Yes.
attention to the problems I was having and said, let me solve their problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I could feel their problem because I was having the same problems as I'm getting into this woodworking machine journey. And once I zeroed in, I'm not sure, it was an awareness of what the world is experiencing as opposed to what I wanted to get out of the world. And so, yeah. And so as I started to, that was an awareness so I could see all the problems people were having. And so I just started shooting content on that. I said, wow, he's
And so
got
when you say content, this was all on YouTube. You had your own
all
channel.
YouTube, just YouTube. Yeah.
Yep, just YouTube, and you said channel. Nobody's really coming there. And I'm thinking, well, like, and and one of the things I teach is people don't understand the power of a niche market. It's not about volume or right. How,
Yeah.
especially a niche market, because if I can't find it anywhere and you're the guy teaching this, I'm going to go to you. And if you do it better than the other niche market people, wow. And you were such a demonstration of that because I was like so impressed when I went, holy cow, he's such a natural. You've always been a natural on camera. And I saw the difference with the videos on your channel as opposed to trying to sell things or
Mhm.
right before it was like this is what you do, you loved it, it flowed, you talked to people, and there was just a natural ability to really connect to people, and I saw that with what you
Yeah,
were doing.
yeah.
So you start doing this. So then there was the business thing that happened along the way of like, how do you make money
That
doing
was a
it?
total accident too.
Yes, tell us
So
about that.
yeah, yeah. So it's kind of funny because at this point we're a year out after maybe a year and a half after I quit work, and
Yeah.
I had committed myself so much to finding my purpose, never going back to work, that I was willing to go through my entire uh, every penny I had, including retirement.
Yeah.
I was down to $25,000. That's it. That's it. I could not pull money from any other source at that
Yeah.
point. I had tapped into most of retirement, and I found one of the main problems that people were having, that I was having, and I said, well, let's just see. At this point, I probably have about 2,000 subscribers. Right, I'm four
Right.
months into my YouTube channel, and said, well, let's just invest some money. So I bought $5,000 worth of stuff at wholesale,
Uh-huh.
and and built a little website, and just talked about it on the channel. And then I told people on the channel. Right at this point, I had added enough value to enough people that they wanted to buy from me.
Yeah.
And this was the thing, I think. But well, that was the start, and I made $5,000 that day. Right, I remember sharing that with.
Outstanding. That
Yeah,
was outstanding. It's
day
like,
one made
wow.
five
Yeah.
thousand dollars.
Now, how did you make that? That was that through affiliate sales?
No, that for me, that was direct sales. That was
Okay, direct sales. So you were buying inventory and selling
yes,
it.
yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then along the way, then as things grew, I started getting affiliate. I got an Amazon associate account where anybody can get that has an Amazon account, and you just
Yeah.
give an affiliate commission from there, or affiliate link from there.
Right.
But then as the channel grew, of course, I'm making more and more contacts, and uh, trusting this, just keep moving forward, and eventually the right contact comes along, and before you know it, as the channel grows, the so does the interest in you.
Yes.
Yeah,
You're an
at this,
influencer. And
yeah,
when you
yeah,
speak as an authority, even if it's a smaller audience, that can make or break businesses out there who supply that all that equipment and machinery that's making these beautiful items. And so when Garett speaks, they want to make sure that they're the manufacturer that you're talking about. And so
yeah,
therein lies that power that people don't realize. It's the influencer creator part wields so much power, and your audience trusted you that you were always going to try out these things yourself
yeah,
and recommend the best stuff. And that's when you started to grow, the business side of things started to become,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But it always comes back to that theme of, it's not about me, it's
right,
about them. And if they're asking questions, help them. And the more, it's the hardest thing for it was to wrap your head around. But once you realize it, the more you give, the more you
yes,
get. It's
yes,
it's amazing. The more you give, the receiving increases in magnitude. But I had to get over a lot of that stuff that a lot of people have to get over.
yeah.
Of, oh, I don't look so good on camera. Oh, now I'm 62 years old.
Oh
I got
yeah,
these wrinkles. People are going to think um, and it's we're so into ourselves
yeah,
that we don't see the potential that we have to
right,
give. And people aren't worried about how we look. They're worried about how they feel
yeah,
and how they can grow, what they can get away from and get
yeah,
into,
yeah.
and and that's tough. That's tough to get out of because it's so embedded in us, this ego of about
Ego
me.
driven. Yeah. And I, as a coach for a multi-million dollar business, I have to tell people, I say, please, I'm saying this out of kindness, get out of your own ego. It's not about you. All right. Nobody cares what you look like. And they're like taken aback that I'm insinuating that it's their ego. And I said, it's when you're worried about yourself all the time first, it's always your ego. It's
Yes.
like you said, what am I offering my audience? What am I giving them? And if I place that first, they don't care if I'm wearing a clown hat and a nose. In fact, that'd probably be funnier if I did that.
Well,
Yeah,
that a little attention grabbers grab it. The other
yeah,
thing is I'm not afraid to tell my story. I became unafraid of
yes.
my story. And so that's what I share with people. And people,
Vulnerable. You're
yeah.
vulnerable, but you're coming from a place of power and a triumphant story. And so being vulnerable is like saying, I'm not this, perfect guy that went out and just made millions of dollars. It's like, I came from that spot that maybe even you haven't experienced yet. And
Yeah.
that's the most empowering part is I always say, listen to people's stories because those people you think are above you or smarter than you, whatever, they all have some pretty darn stories that recently more of them are telling, right?
Mhm.
Now they're admitting, like Elon Musk, they slept on his, office couch. He didn't even own an apartment for God knows how long. Not
Right.
that we feel sorry for him, but but so how did you get to the point where you were making seven figures?
Well, it first of all, it was not giving up the content, all right? Giving up creating or adding value. It had to become one of these things of this is something that became a part of me of delivering,
Yes.
giving value, right? So that was one thing, but I expanded the product line. Once I had a base product line or a base product and people were buying, then I had to go out and buy some more and expand the product line. But this also always turns back into me as I started to see IDC Woodcraft actually become a brand. It wasn't even a brand at that time.
Yes.
I said my company is going to be the most recognized brand in this particular industry of what I sell, by such and such. You talk about vision boards. This whole area here is vision board. So it's
Yeah.
always changing. I don't have a vision board. I have a vision wall. Um,
Yes. Yes.
right.
I
So
love
there's
it.
there's things I'm adding to it. I've just changed it recently. I'm going to add a couple other things to it. Um, so I also to grow the business to seven figures, number one, it was getting the digital skills, right? It was
Yes.
willing to get out there. It was real. Somehow it's about not giving up,
Right.
right? Because every person who decides to venture out, they're going to hit walls, and that wall is going to push back so hard,
Mhm.
and I had to become determined
Yeah.
to not stop, even though that wall is pushing back.
Right.
That's unfortunately that you just have to commit. And what that does is that forced me to change my identity.
Right.
All right. Or the identity was changed beforehand. And what that means is I got out of the 9 to 5 mentality, is pushing that away. That wall is pushing back. I got out of the identity of I'm not worth receiving
Yeah.
money. All right, I'm not worth receiving good things and or whatever. I had to get out of that mindset.
Yeah.
Just give and trust that I am worth receiving. And so
Yeah.
that took work too to start to realize that I'm worth it.
Yeah. You changed all your definitions and I always say, we do have, like I said, the vision boards now that you have, you're totally capable and you see yourself creating it at every moment versus what most of us have done in the past is we see a vision board as something in the distance that we are not connected to that we want to be instead of being it now and realizing this is the journey to that. So I will have to get new skills, change my mindset, but I know that I'm already that. So you stop becoming the person now that, like you said, thinks differently, thinks lack, that is something outside of you that you're going to I'm going to get it if I pray enough. And it's like, no, 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 you have to start now to become that person. And you took all those steps and started to listen to your intuition and all the things that were scary.
Mhm.
And as you know, I teach breakthrough fear. It's like, it's not that the fear goes away. It's always
The
there on
stuff
some
you do
level.
is phenomenal. It's
Yeah.
phenomenal. Yeah.
So it's like, I think people think that, the ultimate place is to go to where you never experience it anymore. Like, no, it's to experience it and not allow it to control you. And so your vision board now is like fun for you to know that that's the next cool thing that you're going to achieve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Versus I need it, I can't be that or whatever. And that is a total mind shift that it's just been amazing to see you do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there again, it goes back to always keeping ourselves in check, right?
Yes.
My business did, I did one of these things. The business was shooting up just like that.
Yeah.
And then I kind of did one of these things. And
Yeah.
I had to step back and if it's doing that, it's because something's going on up here,
Yeah.
right? And so I had to stop and take a look. And I just realized I was not feeling good about something.
Yeah.
There's authenticity that was starting to slip. And so I had to work on shifting that back around. It sneaks up on you, I tell you what.
So that's interesting you say that because every business, whether it's our own business or we work in corporations, as an investment bank, former investment banker, of course, there's no straight line, it's always going to dip. There are outside factors. There are other. So when you had the dip, what was happening then that you feel was, you know, creating that dip in your, prosperity of the business? What was going on?
Honestly, I started to focus back on the money.
Okay.
The
Yep.
minute I started focusing back on the money, it was so weird to actually be able to see that in such a short time frame and become aware of it. And
Wow.
and
Okay.
then what did I have to do? I had to pull back and just give
Yeah.
myself thinking time.
Yeah.
It's this is the fun part about business. I mean, it's in the beginning, it's tough because it's not hard to actually do business.
Right.
It's not hard to make money. It's the hard part is changing the way we think, and we don't
Yeah.
know what we need to change and what to change into, and that's where we have to find our guides, our mentors, and people can teach us the skills.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
who can help open up the spiritual part and the fear thing because you're
Yeah.
right, we all have fear. Just because I've got a multi-million-dollar business right now doesn't mean I'm
Yeah.
not scared.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Yeah.
always coming back in.
You know what?
But
Yeah. Yes.
but I embrace that fear now. I like feeling uncomfortable.
It
It's
pushes
the
you.
worst thing. Yeah, because I know now after enough time that discomfort, if I stay in that discomfort, it's eventually going to break through and
Yes.
something new, some higher
Yes.
level, new rewards, love. But I
Yeah.
didn't have love for a long time after my wife died. And I didn't feel like I was worth it. When I shifted that, then I've got an amazing girlfriend that we've been dating for a long time. We get along
Love
really
that.
well. It's
I love it.
and it works all the way around.
It does.
Every aspect of life, as long as
Yes.
we're aware and working to break this. And there's always something to break inside here.
So I love this because I think that there's this people perceive that when you go into this state where you get it, that you stay there. It's like that's not how it works. You're constantly being challenged. There are old programs and triggers that'll show up. And it's like I always tell people, why do people jump out of planes with parachutes or climb mountains or go see scary movies? It's the fear that makes it so exciting.
Yes, yes.
Right? I said without the fear, it's like, yeah, jump out of a plane, big deal,
Mhm.
but it's like I said, you see a movie, you know it's not real, but you won't dangle your feet over the bed or you put the light on and it's
Yeah.
silly, but we love that fear. It makes life exciting as long as you have it in check. And I love that said that, you think that, oh, I've made it now, that we're home free and you never are.
The you
But
never.
yeah, but here's the difference is that you knew what you chose and the direction you were going was the right one versus you weren't going back to an office job
Yes.
or chasing something else. You were in that passion. So even in passion and the things that we love, we still, if we want to grow, we'll experience that fear. And doubt ourselves and question, like, am I doing the right things? And like you said, you have to get it back in check and what's going to correct this. And it's
Yeah.
like you said, placing our attention on what's most powerful, and that's our purpose, the positive impact. So I don't know if you know this, but Digital Explorers, I placed the whole company and I made a big decision, and you actually inspired me. We create online planet conscious businesses. Now, I just took my whole audience and pulled it into this,
Okay.
right? A niche market. And it's based on passion, purpose, and positive impact.
Yes.
Only then it's profits and prosperity. That's number four. Those three are the first things we tackle. And
They
it's
have to be done. Those things
right.
have to be put in place.
Those
That's
are, yeah,
yeah, yeah. So that I love that business structure because if people trust that,
yeah.
they can't miss.
No,
It feels like they're missing, but they
yeah,
can't miss the target
yeah,
of getting the
yeah,
prosperity if you follow that
right.
path you just said.
So when you hit those dips, you go, okay, I'm in my passion. I know my purpose. I know I'm making a big positive impact. So that right there places you in a positive, let's just say position to know that, you're not questioning anything. It's just like, okay, now how am I doing this? The dip is something else that's happening, but you never lose sight. You never said, oh, I need to change careers or businesses. That never went through your head because you already knew,
I
right?
knew, yeah, I knew.
Yeah. And
That
that's most important
dip you're
part.
talking about, that's the time when the universe is saying, that's when we stop growing,
Yeah.
and we have to go to a new level. Uh,
Yes.
and so that's when we have to fight against ourselves again. And that's what you were just saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't get easier. There's always a
Yeah.
challenge, but that's what we are. We're
Yeah.
creators, and creators have to go through challenges to get to,
Yes.
you know,
That's
the,
what it's all about. It doesn't
yes.
go away. It's if we want everything to be perfect, we need to go to another planet. So there's something exciting about it. And we look to our future too, and we say, okay, there are more things that I can do. So let me ask you, like, what do you see in your future? What are your goals for where you want to take this? I mean, not everybody wants to have a staff of people. I know you have people working for you, and to some people are solopreneurs. Some people want to be multi-million-dollar companies that are bigger. What's your personal goal? I would just love to hear that and
Yeah.
share it.
So my personal goal is to, in my industry, there's three core type industries, right? There's the software, there's the tooling, there's the machines. So IDC Woodcraft is the tooling aspect of it, but I'm also the education to show you how all this ties together. But what's missing is each segment of this industry, they pretty much treat themselves as their own entity. All right.
Okay.
So as instead of an ecosystem. So my objective is to create an ecosystem with these three so that it's one seamless thing. We can't exist without the other. This industry,
Right.
we can't. And so that is my goal. And by once I create that for other people, that will shift my company from, the $2 million company that it is right now per year,
Yeah.
to a $20 million company.
Love it. Okay, so we go into that's the creativity, the expansion, not being afraid to be different. And as I, always share, I said we're changing the way people are doing business. We are being responsible business owners who are conscious about our planet and the impact we're having on everybody. We're placing that first, and that's been missing, especially online. Why 97% of businesses online go down. It's never the focus is that. And I said, sometimes it's scary to be the innovator and the creator of something different, but when you know it's right and you have those components, which you have all of them,
Mhm.
it's going to be something beautiful and amazing, and it's going to put you to 20 million easily, in my opinion, in a very short period of time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I love the planet conscious aspect of your
yeah,
business, right? Because when we come in, we're conscious not only of what we can give to others, and by virtue of that
yeah,
receive, but that planet consciousness, by whoever's watching this,
Yeah.
of their own consciousness coming up and the spiritual realizing this is all a spiritual thing. We're all connected. We're all
Yes.
one. That you will be a part of that planet conscious expansion as well.
Yeah. And I mean, knowing that when you tell somebody you have a business like yours is ultimately an online business, is to feel proud that your kids and grandkids
Mhm.
will look at what you're doing and saying it's really cool and responsible, and you're not leaving here with anything that than a legacy that you're proud of, that you made a
Yeah.
positive difference in people's lives and creativity and all the things you're doing. You're a shining example of that. I just want to share information with, oh, so the other thing is, oh, I want to mention one more thing before we give information to our audience. Um, Garett has not only been able to earn a lot of money for himself, but he has been so generous. I know you've given like what, like 30,000. I mean, you've given a huge amount
Yeah.
of money to charities like
They-
children's charities.
yeah. Yeah. I take a portion of the revenues from the company and we donate to St. Jude and also to an organization called Missing Alexis. So St. Jude, most people know what St. Jude is. Missing Alexis, though, is an organization that's built for people who've lost their kids, right, for family support. And we've donated $52,000
Yeah.
to this in the last two
Wow.
years. My goal this year is another 50.
I just, oh,
That yeah, that
it makes me cry.
it you know that actually writing a check to donate pushed against that ego again. Oh my, it's my money,
I know it's like,
yeah,
yeah,
let it go. It will come back.
it does, but you don't do it to get it back. You do
No,
it from your heart
I
because,
do it because my
yeah,
niece almost died from
yeah,
cancer. St. Jude saved her. All
yeah,
right. My grandson died in my daughter's arms. Right.
yes,
So I do it by virtue because of them, because I witnessed the pain
yes. And
firsthand.
that money goes to something you don't even get to see, but you know is making a difference. And that's when I talk about the power of how we're earning is just all the way around
Yes.
so impactful. And I don't think people realize how impactful it is. And we think of ourselves as little businesses, or we're not reaching that many people, but that couldn't be further from the truth.
Right.
Yeah, so wow, I want to thank you. I would like to, if you're open to this, do periodic interviews with you because you're so inspirational. Your story's so amazing. I'm so privileged that you're my friend. And we've been on that journey in business and friendship
Yeah.
and seeing each other evolve and you know, going off to our own brands and changing what those are. And so I would love for you to be a part of you know, whatever we're doing over here. And also you know, I'm launching new things. One of them
Mhm.
is collaborate. And so that's when I'm going to open it up to all of us to, instead of, you know, in my world in the financial industry, you know, you guard everything. You guard
Yeah.
everything. You know,
Yeah.
it's I got to get it. Nobody has access to my clients or whatever. And I think the new community is what we're doing here, and that's we're collaborating and sharing, and we all grow and are stronger because of that. And I see that as the new world and new way of doing businesses. There's no
Totally.
fear in that. Yeah, I don't lose anything, you know, from that. Yeah, so I would love to have you come back,
I
and
would love to. I would love
I
to.
would love for you to. Thank you so, so much. Now, so what I would like to ask you is, how can people get to your channel? I'm going to have all the links in the description or wherever, or the email, wherever you're seeing this. But what would you like to tell people where they can get a hold of you and view anything, or, you know, access all of your beautiful stuff?
Well, my website is idcwoodcraft.com, and the way you remembered it is I don't care woodcraft, right? People, I didn't realize it was like an acronym that people use for text. So, but
I didn't either.
yeah, it stands for Imagine, Design, Create Woodcraft, right?
Oh,
Dot
cool.
com. And then IDC Woodcraft YouTube channel. All right,
Okay.
those are the two places. If
Pretty
you want to get a
simple.
hold of me, it's Garrett at idcwoodcraft.com. Right, everything's IDC Woodcraft.
Yes, IDC Woodcraft. See? Branding, very
They-
cool. Consistency. Yeah.
Totally branded, totally
Yeah.
branded.
All right.
And yeah, so that's how you can find me. Of course, Facebook, IDC Woodcraft.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you for watching. We can post this video anywhere. We want to spread the word that what we're doing is powerful and anyone can do this. You got to find that passion, that purpose, positive impact, and nothing holding you back. So
I
thank
am,
you.
yeah, I am happier doing what I do than I've ever been in my entire life.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And it
Yeah.
shows, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
trust your spirit. Trust it.
absolutely.
Scary, but trust it.
Yes, it's scary, but trust. Okay, thank you. And we'll talk soon.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for
Bye,
having me.
everybody.
Bye.
Be sure to check out my book, Breakthrough Fear Your Spiritual Butt Kick, on Amazon. It will blow your mind. It talks about exactly how all of this works. You can find that link in the description.